everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be discussing Today I'm going to be discussing the topic of creating Pokemon. And in this video is going to focus on the 3 starter Pokemon. So the grass, water, and fire Pokemon that you receive for I cannot even speak today. That you get first thing in the game. Enjoy. The first thing we have to do when creating starter Pokemon is to understand all of the characteristics of those Pokemon. Besides being 1 grass, 1 water, and 1 fire, all of the starter Pokemon share one other common trait. 2 of them are on hind legs, and 1 of them is on all 4s. Don't believe me? Take a look at this chart. So as you can see, we have Bulbasaur on 4 legs, then Squirtle and Charmander on 2 legs. In the next generation, we have Chikorita on all 4s, then Totodile and Cyndaquil on 2 legs. In the next generation, we have Trico on 2 legs, Mudkip on 4 legs, and Torchic on 2 legs. In the next generation, we have Turtwig on all 4s, Piplup and Chimchar on 2 legs. In Gen 5, we have Snivy on 2 legs, Oshawott on 2 legs, and Tepig on 4 legs. And finally, in Kalos, we have Chespin on 2 legs, Froakie on 4 legs, or I guess you could argue that Froakie's on 3 legs, but really he's on 4 legs, and I almost called her Foxy, but no, her face. I'm blanking on the name. Anyway, this thing is on 4 legs. What does this mean to creating a Pokemon for starter Pokemon? You will soon find out. Pika 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 intermission. Pika 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 pika, don't get us copyrighted. Pika 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 pika. Well, thank you for that very much, Pikachu. Yeah. So it is very important because it is a trend that Nintendo has followed throughout all of their games. And it seems like that's the way of making the starter Pokemon very well balanced. And I agree. So when you're designing your own starter Pokemon, keep in mind that it's important to have 1 on all 4s, 2 on hind legs. Our next topic of discussion is the starter Pokemon's other typing. As you can see here on the chart from the Pokemon Wikipedia, a Bulbasaur starts out as a grass poison Pokemon and follows that all the way to his final stage. A Charmander is fire, and then at the Charizard stage becomes fire flying, and Squirtle becomes water. Squirtle becomes nothing because Squirtle is always water. Why this is important, you ask? Well, it is in fact very important. Because of the rival battle at the end of the game that happens in like every Pokemon game ever, it's important that the types match up well for a difficult fight. The way it's always worked in Pokemon games is your rival chooses the Pokemon that is strong against yours. So for example, if I were to choose Bulbasaur, my rival would choose Charmander. If I were to choose Charmander, my rival would choose Squirtle, and if I were to choose Squirtle, my rival would choose Bulbasaur. This is important at the end of the fight when you look at the final typings and the last stage of evolution. I'm mostly focusing on Venusaur and Charizard here because Blastoise is just a plain water type, and this happened again, so it's driving me crazy. Yeah. So flying is actually effective against grass, and so it's a double advantage against grass. And I think this is a good way to make the fight a very large challenge. Now let's look at the next set of starter Pokemon. These ones coming from Johto. So we have Chikorita, Cyndaquil, and Totodile. Chikorita is grass all the way. Actually, they're all of the way the same. So this is an option. So one of your options is make one of the Pokemon effective against another Pokemon, which is a bit more difficult, or you can just keep the typing all the way through. In the next generation, in Hoenn, Trico stays grass, Torchic becomes firefighting at the combustion stage, and Mudkip becomes water ground at the Marshtomp stage. So just take a look at this. Firefighting, I believe they are both effective on grass. So again, the fire Pokemon is beating the grass Pokemon, and water ground is double effective against fire. And so this is another example of what we saw above. These are from Sinnoh. We have Turtwig, Chimchar, and Piplup, sorry, I called him Piplup earlier. Turtwig is grass, then grass, ground. Charmander is firefighting. And Piplup is water, steel. So again, these are pretty interesting. This is another example of what you can do. So you see, all of these do change, and I think personally I like it when they add a new type onto it. But it's not always necessary, and it doesn't flow very well sometimes, especially on Empoleon. I'm not quite sure why he is a steel. Yeah. So the next generation is Unova, depending on how you want to pronounce that. Again, grass is the same, water is the same, but fire, again, goes for the ever-popular firefighting. And so that is an option. Firefighting is a very, very common typing. So if you want to make it just like the old games, you can do it that way. But I think it would be also neat to see some new typing, such as fire, ground, and make it sort of lava themed, or fire, flying, which would also be quite neat. And this is finally Kalos, which is probably one of my favorite regions. So, grass, fighting, fire, psychic, which I find really nice because this is the first starter Pokemon that's had Psychic on it, and it's not fighting. Then water, dark. This is a good example of when it's very equal until the final stage. Again, this is also an option. So let's just review our options. Just like the original trio, we could have one that starts out as dual typing, and one that's doubly effective against the other. Or we could have them stay the same the entire time. We could have them have it at the second stage, like Torchic and Mudkip, or we could do like Chespin, Fennekin, and Froakie, and all have it on the final stage. And also keep in mind to make the types make sense, but also try and make it a bit original. Our last part of making a starter Pokemon is going to be about naming your Pokemon. Of course, every Pokemon ever has had a name, or has a name rather, and as should every Pokemon in the future. However, did you know a couple of the names actually had origins in either Japanese or in English, and sometimes when they're translated, their names are changed to match culture. For example, Bulbasaur, who's one of the first Pokemon you can get in the game. His "saur" at the end of his name is a reference to its dinosaur-ish body. Charmander is the first part of his name. Char is a reference to charcoal, the material that you get when you burn wood. And Squirtle, which is a water Pokemon, and it learns Bubble Beam and Water Gun very early, and it's got Squirt in its name. So that's very important to keep in mind that you get the great name. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today, but please check in the description for a video I'm making where you learn how to apply your new starter Pokemon in your very own Pokemon game. Until then, have a nice day!